Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Imagination Labs. My name is Rhianne Miller, and I'm a proud Wirangu, Narungga, and Wongatha woman, and I'm meeting you today from the lands of the Gubbi Gubbi people on the beautiful Sunshine Coast. I've been with AIM for the last 7.5, 8 years, started as a student and have progressed, I suppose, each year to become one of the 4 co-CEOs at AIM this year. Today, we're talking about ambassadors, people from across the globe who are stepping up to create change and to build bridges of unlikely connections as their foundations. We encourage the free flow of ideas on Imagination TV, so feel free to jump in, throw any thoughts or questions or comments in the chat line. If you have anything you would like to add or anything you'd like us to follow up with, just chuck it in there and one of our team will send it through to me. With me today is my amazing co-host, Brendan Newton. Brendo, how are we? How are we feeling? What are you excited for? Tell us a bit about your role at AIM.
Thanks so much, Rhianne. And it is such a delight to look across the screen. You guys will get to meet them in a sec. But what we've got here is a real unlikely connection network on the screen to chat to. And the joy of that is that it's kind of founded on relations, the antithesis of our current social networks, which is founded on those ideas of who we know and what we know, as opposed to what we're trying to build here, which is who we don't know and what we don't know. So I've been around AIM for 8 years and more excited than ever. It feels like it's just every year we kind of do something more extreme, which is, if you know me, that's kind of what I'm into. Thanks for having me, Rhi, and looking forward to the conversation.
Thanks, Brendo. So throughout COVID, it allowed us to be able to innovate and to move on the go and to essentially create a program that we can give away for free. So Imagination University was launched in one of the toughest times in our history so far, and it is a training ground for global ambassadors of equality. It's an online training tool powered by human connection to unlock imagination and to forge unlikely connections so that we can have a different set of outcomes for a fairer world. The university gets people to connect with unlikely people, to introduce heroes we haven't seen, and to shift our biases to see the potential that every single person has. It creates unlikely connections with mentors for a two-way exchange. It has unlikely connections with knowledge for freedom of the mind, unlikely connections to a network, a new home for exchange of opportunities, wealth, and ideas, so that those outside of the margins and those in the margins can meet on a bridge of equal opportunities. And as part of the university, every single ambassador that comes through the doors gets to pick up 18 years of research in the form of mentoring tools. As a school student, a university student, a teacher, an executive, and a citizen so that they can implement change projects in their communities, schools, or organizations. Now, today we're fortunate enough to have 4 really unique and different characters on this call. And I'm so excited that each of these 4 have come through as a new cohort of Imagination University this year. So what I want to do is just throw it around the screen, get each of you to introduce yourself, where you're zooming in from to join us today. If you're a uni student, what you're studying, and what you're looking forward to in this episode today. So I'm going to kick it off with John.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ryan, for serving it first to me. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. John Agri. I'm from Ghana, and it's 10:10 p.m. here. And I guess it's opposites at the other side of the world. It's been a run of a show for me, and it has been inspirational all through this journey of life. And sitting on the fence and just looking at young people going through the same cycle every day gives us, you and I, an indication that something is amiss and we need to step in. So if you are here watching this show, it is the reason why we are here. And I want you to stay tuned, listen to every experience that we are going to share with you. For me, it's been good and bad, but I'll say bad, but it depends on how you ride over the bad to make a good, better burst. And that is where I have taken my story to and leading the change I want the world to see. Not just for me or for my family, but for generations to come. That one day they'll say, okay, John was part of the reason we are here today. And that is the change I want to see in our society, the change I want to see in you, and the change I want to see in us. So stay tuned as we go around the introductions and we come back to the stories. Over to you, Ryan.
John, that was incredible. I feel like you should be hosting this TV show right now. That was summarized beautifully. Like, stay tuned if you want to hear more about the stories we got to tell. Stu, let's jump over to you. Tell us about what you're doing at UNSW and your Bachelor of Commerce and how you've landed at AIM.
Thanks, Ryan. I do appreciate the opportunity, and it's great to be involved with AIMS. I've heard much great things about it in the past. So I'm currently in my 3rd year at UNSW. I'm currently in Sydney at the moment and doing a Bachelor of Commerce. So it's quite interesting. I've had experience in business before, so it's I've been involved also with career trackers. What's been great, what's involved got me involved with AIMS. So I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to create that positive change within the community, but also learn more on how I can develop to give and provide better communication and also learning skills to people as well. Thank you. Yeah.
That's great, Stu. And whilst we're on the theme of career trackers, let's jump over to Sam.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. See, I'm Sam. I'm dialing in from a very, very damp Newcastle region this week. I'm at the University of Newcastle, so I'm studying a Bachelor of Laws and Communications. And yeah, I'm in my second year of that. So I got notified about AIM from my career advisor at Career Trackers, who asked me if I would like to get involved. And I had a look at the program and I said, yes, absolutely. That sounds like something I would love to get involved in. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Thanks heaps for that, Sam. And Aparna, I know you've been involved with AIM before. And so you've got to experience the excitement that Sam and Stu speak about when it comes to being able to run the program or be in the room with kids and to create change. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your prior experience with AIM, and then what you're looking forward to for the next 12 months?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Aparna. I'm currently a 2nd year student at university. the University of Wollongong. I'm studying a Bachelor of Pre-Medicine Science and Health. I'm coming in from Sydney, and I spent the last year at Dapto High School as an AIM mentor, and it was so rewarding just working with all the students and just seeing them like grow a bit in themselves as well. And I feel like the main thing that I learned was great communication with them, which created the connection between the mentor and mentee, which is something I valued so much from the program. And I can't wait to see what holds for the ambassador position too.
Thank you all so much. Brendo, I'm going to throw it over to you. I'd love for you to kick off the panel with a question and throw it to any one of these cool cats joining us today.
Yeah, cool. Let's try to mix it up today and see what we can learn from each other. I'm hearing great communication from Aparna in her time in tutor squads. And then I'm also hearing, John, you're acknowledging how you can change and make a different future for many kids. And, like, do you guys just want to go toe to toe for a second and figure out what those communications methods look like from your experience, Aparna? And then, John, show us what you got after that.
Yes. So there was one occasion when I was at Dapto when we were just sitting out and we were going to get into some work. And I approached these two girls and was like, we were just having a conversation, communication. And I asked them, oh, what do you guys want to do in the future? And one of them said law, another one said medicine. And I'm like, that's great. And I was so excited for them. And then after that, they had an immediate self-doubt, a moment of self-doubt. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, surely you can do it. But then they're like, I don't know if I'm able to do it. What if I don't get in? And it just broke my heart. Like the self-doubt that they're thinking they can't make it when they can. So linking in with what John says, the change to make sure that they're able to have confidence in themselves. So I motivated them to say, look, I'm also in a similar pathway, and if I'm trying, you can definitely try as well, and you can get in if you really put your heart into it. So that's a change that I want to see, more confidence in people. And yeah, that's the reason why I want to be in this ambassador role. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Aparna. Well, what I will add to it is when we talk about the change, for me, it was not how much my family had, though we had little. It was not how much was in a pocket, but how much was from within the heart. And that was the first decider that I really wanted to make a change. If everyone was to have an equal measure at the national cake. And by this, everything I did in life has been self-taught, it has been self-learned, and it has been amazing because I learned it on my own terms. And if we're able to capture that, trust me, there's nothing that we cannot surmount. And that is what I want these young people out there to know, that yes, you need mentors, you need coaches, you need people to guide you, but it has to start from you. And if they're able to realize that, I think the world will be the best that we can ever live in. And the future we all keep dreaming about. It's the word is not future, it's the present. Because how do you live for the future if you cannot live for the present? That is why people have 5-year plan, 10-year plan. And at the end of the 10-year, they cannot measure it. Why? Because they are living an abstract life. They are not living in the present. So it is time we need to bring home these young minds home, their minds home. It starts now, not tomorrow. So that is my story. And I'm smiling because I'm just having memories of how it all started for me. And I'm proud of myself. And I just want to see these young people having the same smile. Thanks, you.
John.
Yeah.
It's so cool, mate. Like, you've got a whole team on the chat line. You've got Daughter of Africa Vlogs. She's jumping in, encouraging you. You've got Matey Richard, And then you've got Samaya, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I think Samaya was going to jump on the show with you even. So they're all pumped for you. And what a great link we've got with these people who want to lead mentoring chapters in Newcastle and Sydney. What's your vibe, Ree? What are you feeling, mate?
I'm still reflecting on the last thing John said, which was lead for the present and not the future. And I think often, we have these 5-year plans, we have these 10-year plans, and we look forward to the change that can happen, then rather than today or tomorrow. And Sam, I'd love to pose that thought to you. When it comes to creating change for today, what do you think are the first steps that someone can take in order to be able to do that?
Well, that's a huge question, because it depends on individual scenarios, exactly what you're there's different styles of leadership as well. So in terms of creating the first steps, I think the most important thing you've really got to do is get community involvement. So that's one of the main things that is really quite fantastic about Newcastle University, is the amount of community involvement that is happening at the university level, and then that spreads out into the wider community. So yeah, that's first of all one of the main things I think you have to do, is get involved with the community. And the second thing, of course, is to actually listen to what the community involvement is, because it's very easy to go out and act like you're doing all of these things in all of these programs out in the community and whatnot. But then you've actually got to listen to the feedback you're getting for that from that, and make sure that that's what's needed. Because when you start with something, you might think, this is you might think that you've got the idea down pat of what needs to happen. But then once you start going, you might start to realize that, hang on, we need to adjust this slightly. So I think, that's the first two steps really are getting community involvement, and that can be communities. That could be your local community, or if you're running programs out in different communities that you mightn't first of all be associated with. You need to really go and then listen to the feedback you're getting from what you're doing to make sure that that's the right path to take.
Yeah, great, Sam. And I think when it comes to community involvement, confidence is one word that I continually have just kind of rattling around in my brain, in terms of confidence within yourself and understanding of yourself, the change you want to create, having confidence in your ability to listen, because we know, as in Australia with our Indigenous communities, listening to aunties and engaging by having a simple cup of tea is one of the most important things you could do. And so for me, it's confidence to be able to understand self, community, confidence to listen, and then just to take things as they go. Stu, when we talk about what it takes to be a leader and to create change in the society that we live in now, what does that entail? How can people be leaders? How can people create change? And how can they rally people around them to be able to do that?
Thanks very much, Rhiannon. I think in terms of creating change as a leader, leadership is ever more important in the growing society that we have now. And in terms of creating that sense of community, as Sam touched on, what we need is more partnerships, more involvement from the top down, and not just we need a flatter structure in terms of leadership, and not a hierarchical sort of system whereby one talks down to another. We need a system of leadership and creating change where we have leadership that's involved within the communities to create positive change, and one that's for all change, and not one that's just for one or few people. And I think that's the most important thing in terms of change at the moment.
Interesting, mate, because what we're going to do here at AIM is we've got these kind of different characters from different parts of the community. You've got that 1% that own 50% of the world's wealth that we're inviting into this network and inviting into these TV shows. and you'll see vice chancellors next week and the following weeks on the shows. So it's so good just to mingle with a few university students and understand that you guys see the need for flatness across the board so that we can connect and we can actually understand we're all human, and then we can break down those barriers and those preconceived ideas of, you know, what a man's doing in Ghana and what a man's doing over at Newcastle and what, you know, what we're trying to do down in Dapto. We can build those bridges. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Ree, what are your thoughts, mate? You got another question up your sleeve?
I sure do. I've got many questions, Brendan Newton, but I'm not sure how long we're going to let this episode run for. So let's just do some rapid fire, I reckon. So I'm going to ask a question, and then whoever takes themselves off mute first wins. Like, that's your prize. You get to speak. And then, but let's try to take turns in it. So like, don't be too eager just to be the only one heard. So, all right, my first question is, how can we build unlikely networks to create a fairer world for marginalized youth?
I think I'd like to go on this one, if that's all right. In terms of unlikely networks, networks are so important in the community and in not just in business, but in everyday way of life. Being involved from, just like AIMS does, creating networks through education, helping people create opportunities in their own personal life and achieving goals. And I think involvement is the biggest thing, and involving yourself in the community to create change is the way we can do that.
Thanks, Stu. I reckon we got to do some work on that rapid fire, because otherwise it's just going to be my face awkwardly sitting on the screen waiting. So the next question is, in what ways do you individually provide equitable opportunities? So whether that's you right now in this instance, or what ways do you provide them in the future? What ways do you want to provide them in the future?
Well, for me, I believe distance or geography does not matter if we really want to get connected. Fortunately and unfortunately, looking at what COVID-19 has come, it's given us a clear indication of what a digital space can offer us. So for me, we've got spaces like WhatsApp, Clubhouse, creating WhatsApp groups or digital spaces. I call them safe spaces because it should be a place anyone can come to feel free about anything they want to share. It should be a space where everyone should be welcome. And I always tell people the very first step of solving issues of the society is to have empathy. Until you feel what someone else is feeling, you'll always be thinking about yourself. And this is the difference between leaders, change makers, and those who are just sitting on the fence and watching others die. So once you have that spirit in you, empathy, it leads you to even self-actualize what you have in yourself, what is missing. Now, once you feel these things, you would not want your neighbor, your friend, your family, your enemy to feel the same way. You start putting in measures, solutions to that effect. And this is how the society grew, by solving its own problems. And this is what I call creating safe space for all. Thank you.
That's incredible, John. And when we talk about creating these safe places and putting in measures to solve current problems, I think what that takes me to is the ability to have a mentor or to find a mentor that can help you get to that next level. So the next question is, who has a mentor in their life currently or has previously that has helped them get to where they are today, and what's the significance of that person and their mentoring role that they've had on you?
Well, actually, when I was in year 12, so I'm just 2 years out of high school now. When I was in year 12, every student in my high school actually was given one of the teachers one of the teachers at the school as a mentor. And I got, I'll give a shout out to him here, Mr. McLaren, who was my legal studies teacher. And at that time, I really didn't have much of an idea about what I wanted to do going out of school. So in my family, most people are either teachers or engineers, and I would not be a very good teacher. So I thought, oh, I'll probably go and do engineering or something like that. But he was fantastic at sort of getting me to understand what I would really like to do in life, basically. And being my legal studies teacher, he was able to, give me a really good understanding of the law. And that's where I really started to find, hey, I really I'm really enjoying legal studies, and I'm really enjoying just chatting to him about current issues and things that were happening in Australian law and in Australian politics and whatnot. And he really, because we were able to have those conversations outside of class because he was my mentor, he really started to get me, interested in thinking about all of these issues in Australian society. And I've got to credit him with, helping me to really decide, man, I really enjoy law, and that's what I want to do out of university. And here I am, my second year.
I can relate quite a lot to that story, Sam. And I think, often in families and in environments where we grow up and people that we're around, we'll find that everyone's kind of gone down the same route, and it's through mentors and these new people that come into our lives where we're truly able to be opened up to new worldviews or to new possibilities or avenues. And I had a very similar mentor, and every single person in my family has been a teacher for the last 4 generations. And so I was told I was going to be a teacher and I was going to continue the legacy. And I got to my 3rd year of my teaching degree and I was like, I don't even want to be a teacher. Like, I don't want to be in a school every day. I don't want to have a classroom of 30, that I'm with 24/7. Like, I want to mix it up. I want to experience the world. I want to find something else that I'm passionate about, not that I've been told that I have to be passionate about. And so I think that's the true beauty of mentors and our ability to be able to access them and their knowledge. And Aparna, I'd like to throw it to you to ask a question about how we can mentor marginalized students. I'm going to reframe that. How can we, as mentors, use the intelligence from marginalized students or those outside of the margins to build solutions for today?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to stick with the stronger theme of communication and building the connections with the students first, or the people who are marginalized, because by creating a connection with them, continuing on a strong communication with them, you'll be able to support them, motivate them. And like you said before, having self-confidence within themselves is the first step of recognition, and then continuing that on with other people, also adding on to the confidence, will help them, lead to the ultimate life, one could say, which is the goal for this entire program, which is something I would like to see. Yeah, that's awesome. And I think often, Brendo, in the role that you play at AIM, one of your core things is to go out and to find mentors, to find people that have a story and tenacity and, the ability to speak and to be confident and to support and motivate others. And that's how these 4 have ended up on the call today. And so when it comes to finding mentors, whether that be for ourselves, for students we mentor, for our peers, our friends, our family, what advice do you have? How can someone go out and get a mentor today?
Yeah, really good question. I think so many of us, and I'm guilty of this too, you grow up in your own town and your own sort of group, and you're surrounded by that, really. And then you enter into sort of Facebook and Instagram, and you're still in this little space, silo chambers. And I think one thing that I'm particularly excited about that we're doing is trying to break that. And with breaking that comes, nerves and vulnerability, and, to jump on this call this morning and talk across nations and communities. It's not easy, but once we break that, all our preconceived judgments start to fall down. And then suddenly we've got a whole world of mentors. And there's a good question that's come through Samaya on, I think she's in Africa, Ghana potentially, on the chat line. And she's asking, like, how do we maintain motivation as mentors? I think it's through getting mentors, like you said, Ree, and then knowing that mentors are actually everywhere. Like, I mean, foundationally, humans are good. I believe they're all good, but the way we're taught, whether it be, racist discourse that's taught through generations, or us in our own silo chambers, it limits our perspective and our ability to reach out to new mentors. And that's something that I'm excited about on this call, and then in AIM the next 12 months. Like, yes, there's people in Ghana that want to make change. Yes, there's a med student in Wollongong that wants to make change. Before I sent an email to career trackers, there was Stuart and Sam that potentially wanted to make change, but like, I didn't know them. And it's, I suppose, taking that risk and saying, yeah, there's a world out there of good people, and you're putting the feelers out there and say, hey. But it's so hard, because as soon as you say, I want to do something grand, like building a global network of unlikely connections, it's like, oh, that's a bit of an adventure. Good luck with that, and I'm sort of, from what I know, we've got 80 years left on this planet or whatever. I'm going to do my best to be brave and take that risk, and find another Sam and another John, and yeah, so that's kind of my answer to that one, Ree. And yeah.
I particularly love that this is going to be how you're going to focus your energy on being brave in order to be able to create change. And so I want to run with that, and I want each person on the screen to have a crack at what does it mean for you to be brave, and how can you do that in this next chapter of creating change today, tomorrow, and in the future?
I think for myself, being brave is to break the sort of barriers that exist within not just my own sort of community, but also to ensure that, as Brando was saying, to not be within those sort of silos, but to break out, to gain new experiences, gain new knowledge and community, to build, as we touched on earlier, building networks, building communities, to build a stronger sort of one community, to ensure that we're all sort of helping each other to a point, so that whenever we need help, just like our partners in Dapto, reaching out to students, reaching out to John in Ghana to help see what they need, to ensure that we're building a better community to help each other, but also build our own experiences personally and in terms of building oneself.
All right. So what I can add also to that is, being brave is also making that conscious effort to change the narrative. You cannot accept what is. You must be the solution to what has to be done. And being brave is also more of embracing those opportunities that come your way and ask questions later. Because if you don't start embracing all these learning opportunities, you're still going to get stuck at the same ideology, at the same mindset, at the same situation. But if you're like, hey, okay, you know what? Let me take up this course. Let me see how it's going to go. Where I do not understand, let me get someone to help me, a teaching assistant or a mentor to guide me. But if you're just going to sit down, no, this course is just too much. This training is too much. I'm not going to do it. Then you are not brave enough. So being brave is taking pragmatic steps, taking that bold steps to reality. Thank you.
Yeah, I've absolutely got to agree with John. I think that, you know, being brave is taking opportunities that come up to you. If there's something that you find interesting and that you think you could possibly do, or you have an idea of how something might be solved, just jump in and do it, because then, you know, you think, oh, there might be someone who might come along after you and be able to do it, but there might not be. So you've got to, I think, just being brave is about taking opportunities and seeing where you're needed and just jumping in, because it'll be absolutely terrifying for the first part as you're trying to work out, you know, was this a good idea? Was it not a good idea? But once you come out the other side, I'm pretty certain that you'll go, I'm glad I did that. I've got so much new experience that I can now apply to things that come up down the road. And next time I do have to jump into something that I'm slightly uneasy about, you're going to feel a lot better about it.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar to Sam. I feel like being brave means to walk in with an open mind. And I feel like gaining more knowledge about someone. So we often see people being quick to judge. So I feel like before doing that, you know, getting to know someone, like it could be an uncomfortable situation at the start, but once you make this connection, then yeah, you'll be glad it's done. Yeah, basically what Sam said.
Thanks so much, guys. It's really good to know your thoughts on the ground. And as you guys sort of enter into this space and put your hand up to be ambassadors of global equality, we're hoping that you guys experience these networks like you are on this call, and that motivation levels continue to sort of stay there, because you can reach out across these unlikely connections and get perspective. And I think that's really important as we go into this next sort of phase in AIM, and as you guys pick up a mentoring chapter and head out to tutor squads. And John, I'm not exactly sure what stream you're jumping into, whether it be executives or the university students running a mentoring chapter, but whatever you go into, you know, it's our delight to actually say, hey, there's, I think, 82 nations now being represented in 2022 across AIM. We hope to work with 100,000 kids by 2025 across all those nations. And, you know, with this connection and this energy and this, you know, the value of knowledge that hasn't necessarily been put in the center, acknowledging that and getting energy from that and connecting in these unlikely alliances, you know, we really hope that you guys can jump in and make change and have that development, and that, you know, it's not necessarily always going to be rewarded in a salary, let's say, but time, knowledge, exchange, human connection. You know, I'm 37 years old now, and I'm kind of starting to value those things a hell of a lot more. So thanks so much. I really hope that you guys dive into your Imagination University projects this year. Stay connected to the network. I'm going to throw to our Australian co-CEO, Ree. You got any final thoughts, mate?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all so much for taking the time to jump on the show and to be open and to have conversations. And as we've been talking, I've been like frantically writing notes, because I've absolutely loved so much of what's come out of the last 40 minutes. So I just want to recap a couple of them as a few of my favorites that I'll be taking into the rest of this week. And so that is, communication can be so simple. It's about acknowledging each other as humans, acknowledge change, overcome self-doubt, and find confidence in yourself, because it starts with you. And it's important that we're able to lead for the present as well as the future. Leadership is important in our society, and we've got to ditch the hierarchy. And it's about all of us being involved. Distance or where we're all located doesn't matter. It's about being connected in safe places. Understanding the role of empathy and how important it is in our society to be able to self-actualize, to identify what's missing, to put in measures and solutions to be able to solve the problems we're currently facing. Mentors open up a whole new world of possibilities and avenues that none of us would have been able to experience without them. Intelligence of those from outside of the margins comes when we're able to build connections, support and motivate one another, and to have confidence in ourselves and those students. We've got to break the silos and the chambers. Vulnerability, nerves, and preconceived judgments have to go out the door in order for us to be able to create change. Being brave, we've got to break the barriers personally, within our community, within ourselves, and those within our networks. We've got to gain new experiences, knowledge. We've got to jump in and know that it will be terrifying and do it anyway. We've got to go in with an open mind, make the conscious effort to change the narrative, and each of us on this screen and watching at home has to be the solution so that we can all see a better world for ourselves and for those around us. On that note, we're going to wrap up today's show. Thank you all for your time, your knowledge, the opportunities you've given us to be able to learn from you. And we're going to throw over to a video which is about dreams. Now, this is probably one of my favorite AIM videos ever, and it was created a couple years ago when we first went globally. Our CEO and founder, Jack, decided to go around and to interview kids about what dreams meant. There are some incredibly funny cutaways that didn't quite make the shot, but it's essentially, they share with us their dreams, what their dreams are of the future, what their understanding of dreams are. And I think it's a great way to summarize what we're doing and why we're doing it so that we could all build and create a fairer world for all. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Imagination Labs. And that's a wrap.
We want to try and work out where do dreams come from. So what do you think? Where do dreams come from?
From the dream time.
What are dreams?
Comes from your imagination.
What is that?
It's like a world of things that you think of.
What do you guys dream about?
Riding a unicorn and a turtle on its back.
A turtle on the back of the unicorn, or the turtle and the unicorn next to each other with you sort of one leg on each?
Next to each other, I'd say.
Next to each other.
Who's powering the movement?
A cheetah.
What do you dream about?
Being rich.
Echiloto chichi.
I want to know, what's a dream?
A train is something that runs on the rails, and it takes people from Brooklyn to the Bronx, or from Queens to Brooklyn.
Who makes dreams?
Us.
Your brain? I reckon dreams are clouds like are in your head, and like they picture all the stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do actually.
I think I go to sleep and my bed takes me to this stuff.
Your bed takes you?
Yeah, it kind of flies and takes me to these places when I sometimes have dreams.
What is your dream? Do you have a dream?
I dreamed about dinosaurs.
You can dream about like you're in a forest or a jungle.
I have dreams when I'm a green guy who can turn into animals.
Who invented dreams?
Martin Luther King.
When do you reckon the first ever dream was ever had?
1981.
So since 1981, when the first dream was had, have all people since that moment been able to dream?
No.
Why do you think no?
Sometimes people need to see stuff and hear stuff to dream. Or some people don't because they can just stay up and don't go to sleep. Yeah, I reckon every kid has a dream. but sometimes you have a scary dream, like on Halloween you might have a scary dream.
And those bad dreams are so, like scary. Sometimes you dream about when you are in a scary hotel where there's vampires and zombies and skeletons that are still alive.
How much do you think dreams cost to make?
$10.
$10?
That's a well-priced dream.
What do you think, Bob?
The amount that you have to pay the hospital to get yourself out of your mom's belly.
What is psychology?
Psychology. We don't know the word that we call psychology. And that word is confusing us. We don't know. Psychology. Psychology.
Why do you think we use imaginations? Why as human beings, why do we have an imagination?
You can go off into far places. I don't know. It's hard. Really hard.
Why is it hard?
It's just hard.
Well, that might be our time.